everybody, it's Amy from Amy J's Creations. I'm back for my 71st episode. I know. I said I'd be back in December, and I'm not because it's now January 9th. But here's the thing. I know that you had plenty to watch because so many awesome people did Flossmas and Vlogmas and whatever, and so it's fine. And this is supposed to be fun, and so I don't need to stress about it, right? Right. Okay. I'm just going to dive right in. I have so much to show you and tell you because I was in America for 3 weeks, and it was super awesome and fun. Before I left, however, I had a couple of finishes. These guys, this one here and this one here, are totally finished. Oh, I love them so much. My sweet little creepy Krampus. All three of them. Here's all three brothers hanging out together. Super, super, super cute. So, got those done. Then, where should I put my finishes? Because I got to film this again in German. I'm going to put them right there. Okay. Then, I also finished this guy, Prairie Schooler Santa. And I don't even know if I had started him. I don't think I had even started him the last time I filmed. So I started and finished him. And he was the last Prairie Schooler Santa that I got finished. Now this is the, I don't know what year this is. I didn't put it on there. But I did him not because a child was born that year, but because he's like a hand arbeidy, knitting. I can't knit, but I can crochet, and there is not a crochet Prairie Schooler Santa. So we get the knit guy. And he will be finished with all the other Santas in the same way that they're all finished the same. Okay. Then, the big thing that I worked on most of the time while I was in America, I worked on it on the plane. I worked on it in the hotel room. I even worked on it a little bit when we got home. I did not quite finish them before the end of the year. However, Christmas, the 12 days of Christmas, goes to January 6th. That is the Christmas season. The bulk of these guys were done in 2025. And because it's my hobby, I'm going to still put the charms on them. Let's say they were done in 2025. And you know what? The cross-stitch police can go suck it. Anyway, so here is Jolly Saint Nick or something like that. Okay, so this Whisper White stuff is crazy to work with. It sticks to everything. And so what I did to get really good coverage is this one I did double lengths of floss. Okay. For his beard, what I did is I did the under one, so a half stitch in the ecru, and then did another half stitch the other way with the Whisper White. I saw that on somebody else's, maybe even was like the cross-stitch subreddit. Anyway, somebody suggested doing that, and I did. Now, obviously, this still needs to get trimmed, but I wanted to, put, I usually put clear nail polish on the end of all the ribbon I cut, and so I'm just showing you the stitching for now. The little bells are super cute, the little buttons, that was frustrating because there's no markings on the pattern to show where to put the buttons. It says, look to the cover photo for inspiration for guidance. Well, on the cover photo, you can't see the buttons. You can't, they're covered up. And also, in my cover photo, he's got like a basket, but what I was given in my finishing items was a present. Now I understand that things change, suppliers change, but the basket was so big with all this stuff poking out of it that you couldn't see the buttons. So I just guessed. I hope that's okay. Where I put them, I hope it makes sense. Also, another thing that happened, I had 2 skeins full brand new skeins that I bought just for this project of Holly Jolly, Classic Colorworks Holly Jolly. And that was for the light green everywhere. I'll show you Mrs. Claus in more detail in a second. And I stitched very conservatively. I do not do every single X because that eats up floss like crazy. I go all the way one row down and then come back all the same direction, and then I come up back the other direction because that saves a lot of floss. That's how I did the tree as well. And I ran out of floss with, there was one hatch mark going one way, but so because I did the tree from here up and then came back down, right? Because you do single cross stitches all the way up and then you do them. So when I got down here, I had a couple of rows that were like literally 2.5 rows where only 1/2 was in Holly Jolly. And I was like, I want to finish these. I mean, I don't want, I was just in America, but I didn't buy more because I thought for sure I'd have enough. Yes, I used a little bit more because I used it here for their his mittens, because I didn't want like that blue. I don't know why he would wear blue mittens. My Santa is a green and red and white guy. So I was very concerned about what I was going to do with that tree. And then I went through all my Classic Colorworks floss, and there was Eve's leaves. And it wasn't exactly the same, but because I was doing it on just one thing, it matched pretty good. I'm impressed. Yeah. If I really studied it, I could maybe tell, but like not really. Yeah, and so then I stitched on all the little stars using the clear filament. I also stitched oh man, he's coming out. See, I stitched one side of the bow. Hold on, let me pull this out before I ruin it more. I stitched one side of the bow and I thought I stitched down the other, and I did not. So I'm going to need to get out some more blending filament and do that because I need his bow to not keep coming untied. But that is Santa. And I heard also also with the boots, I started, you will notice, this is slightly more noticeable. See on those boots? I had some self-dyed blackish floss because the called for onyx I didn't like as much. It wasn't as dark, but I knew, I could tell already as I did part of the boots that I was going to run out. So this time I was smart and I did each of the boots the same amount with my own dyed floss, and then went over with the called for Weeks Dye Works Onyx for the rest half. So that you can see that there is a color change, but because of how I did it, it kind of just looks like the bottom of his boots are darker because they're wet in the snow. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. And then let's check out beautiful Mrs. Claus over here. Now I have not stitched on her frilly stuff, but I'm still counting her as done because the actual cross stitching is done. I just have to catch that. So there she is with all her glory, all her fuzzies as well. And for her boots, I did use my own dyed floss. All of it. So there she is. And they will be finished as stand-ups. And I still have then quite a bit of fabric to do something else with. And I just realized I kitted up something earlier today, and I think I might want to use this fabric actually for part of it, but I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so the other thing I worked on that I was madly trying to finish before the end of the Christmas season was my Mrs. Claus cookbook from Living on the Rainbow. Oh, those were Lizzie Kate patterns, by the way, that I started, last year. Well, I am pleased to report that I got them all done. My daughter and I went down, so I flew a week early over to the States, picked up my daughter in Orem, which is just south of Salt Lake, and spent the night at her house. And then the next morning, we did a few errands in Orem, things that, because she doesn't have a car, I needed to help her with. And then we drove down to St. George to visit my parents for like 6 days. And we stayed in a hotel. And so in the evenings, and sometimes during the day at my parents' house, because, my dad's 96, almost 97, and my mom is 80. So there's not a lot of partying going on. In fact, a lot of what I was doing was running errands for my mother, which I am happy to do. Went to the post office, stuff like that, like things that she wanted, things she needed to get done before Christmas, but the thought of standing in line at the post office just crushed her. And so me and Sarah went and did that kind of stuff for her. And the rest of the time we just kind of hung out. We worked on a Christmas puzzle with her, which was really fun, and got it done. But yeah, some of the time then I would cross stitch, and Sarah was very happy because she had time to read, and we hung out, and we went to go out to eat, and we did some fun stuff in St. George. So it was very nice. But I finished these, which means I can start assembling the book. Now, you will see that the whole rest of the fabric is gridded. That's because when I was gridding this up, I had already bought a couple of her other books. And so once you got the spacing done, it was so figured out for the first few, it was so much easier to just grid for all of them because they all use all the same fabric. But I will still cut around these so I can begin assembling that. And then I will have the fabric all ready to go for the other books. Book of Shadows, book of, and there was like a poison book. That one doesn't have potions book. One of them I bought is just like a box, and then the other ones have pages. So I have several. I can't keep track of them. They're super cute. Okay. The last Christmas thing that I brought with me and did not finish, I worked on it a tiny little bit, was my last nativity. This is Maria Diaz. It's out of a Cross Stitcher magazine, I believe. These were supposed to be 3 separate to look like sort of snow globes, and I am squishing them all together. There's a shepherd. This is part of the camel for a wise man, and then the nativity guys in the middle. I didn't get that finished. So that one will not get a 2025 charm. But I did get these 3 done. And I'm happy with that. It would have been fun to get that 4th one done as well. But, excuse me, there's only so much time. And it was Christmas. And I was doing Christmas puzzles. And I was hanging out with my family. And so the fact that I was able to get as much done as I did, I'm pretty pleased with that. I did have one other start. Now this was, I believe I started this in November and then set it aside because I was like, you have Christmas stuff you want to get done. What are you doing, girlfriend? And it is the Winter Pantry by Brooks Books. This was a freebie on her website. I have already done Autumn and the Summer Pantry. And I've already done the Spring one. This is the last one. So I pulled it all out and got a little start on it. I am using all the called for colors. And this is a little piece of self-dyed fabric. I honestly don't know. The beads I'm using I will be adding beads. There's none yet, but I will just be adding beads from my leftover Mill Hill Santa snowman kits that I had. But yeah, that was my other little thing. But I did a lot of stitching. And I'm very pleased that I had a goal, and I mostly met it with a slight bit of fudging. Because again, 12 days of Christmas start, the first day of Christmas is the 25th, ends on January 6th. Okay, now I need to apologize because there's something I did not show on my last video that needs to be shown. It needs to be given praise. And that is, I talked about how me and my friend Mariana drove up together to the meeting at Zindelfingen at the Zweigart factory for that weekend. As a thank you for me driving, she knitted me a pair of socks! I cannot knit, people. I cannot knit. And all these cross-stitchers on their Flosstubes are always knitting socks. And I'm like, wow, those are really pretty. But this, I know better than to go, hey, how about you make me a pair of socks? This is not something you ask for. This is something you receive or you make for yourself. So when she was like, I made you some socks as a thank you, they are a little out of shape because they've been on my feet. I love them. The color is gorgeous. They're super comfy. They fit perfectly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now I got to tell you kind of life stuff because it mixes in with my haul, all right? In November, several of us Swiss cross-stitchers got together for a meetup, and we met up in Winterthur, which means nothing to you if you don't live here, but it's kind of central to a lot of people, especially with most people came on the train. I picked them all up. We stitched at my church. We were allowed to use the building for free for the day, and it has a kitchen where we can eat and stuff, and so we stitched. And I don't even remember what I stitched on that day. It was, excuse me, it was one of these Christmassy things, I think, but don't quote me on that. But my friend Francie from Color Fever, she's on Etsy, look her up. She had a whole bunch of floss, and she had a whole bunch of new floss, new colors, and I went ahead and I bought some of every new color she had. Let me try to put these together here so that you can see. Let's see. I've got two of several of them because why buy just one when they're so pretty? So I'm going to pull out the double ones and try to get this so I can hold it up here and show you all these gorgeous colors. Oh, some are silk, some are cotton. I didn't care about that so much. What I cared about was all these gorgeous new colors. Now, if you know me at all, and if you've been watching this, you know that I have a special predilection to turquoise/teal and purples, all shades of purples. And so, hello, of course, I had to buy these colors. And then, of course, she's got this really great brown that's like pinky brown. I just thought that would look really cool as well. So I grabbed it. But in some future unnamed, unchosen product. But aren't those gorgeous? Yeah. So, thank you, Francie. What am I going to do with them? I don't know. That's not important. What's important is they are in my hands and they belong to me. And I can look at them and pet them and glory in their beautifulness. Okay. That was November. Then, in December, actually, I am a lying liar who lies. That meetup was actually December 6th. It was Samichlaustag. That's St. Nicholas Day. It's a European holiday. And Francie, my friend from Color Fever, She brought us out. Okay, so traditionally, Santa Claus comes in Switzerland and he brings the children a little bag with peanuts, some chocolates, and mandarinli. And in order to get the bag, you have to say a little verse or sing a little song to him to show what a good child you are. And if you do not do that, or if your parents report to Santa Claus that you were naughty, Schmutzli, his friend, whacks you with a stick. Now, he doesn't put you in a sack and whack you like Krampus, but in Austria, but he does whack you with a stick. I have never been whacked by the stick, and neither of my children. And Francie met up with Santa Claus on her way to meet up with us, and she said that he said we were all good kids, and so she gave us all little bags with some nuts and mandarinli and chocolates in them. It was really sweet. Very, very nice. So that was great. So that was December 6th. And then, like I said, I flew on December 11th, 12th, something like that. So very, very tight turnaround. I went to the States, talked a little bit about that already, what I did the first week. And then the second week, or the next 2 weeks, it was my husband rented a big house, and it was all my kids together for the first time in 4.5 years. It was lovely. And we hung out. We again worked on another Christmas puzzle. We watched movies. My kids, where our house was, they could walk. It was like a 10-minute walk to a Barnes & Noble. And my oldest son was like, hey, everybody, he was waiting to get paid. And his payment came through because they kind of pay him only once a semester. And sometimes they do it at the beginning of the year beginning of the semester, sometimes at the end. This time they were paying him at the end, and he had spent a lot of his money in the summer going on a big trip to Norway with his friend. So as soon as that he got paid, he was like, hey everybody, let's go to the bookstore. I want you to all pick out a book that I'm going to buy you for Christmas. So they did that in a couple of times because some people had other stuff to do, some of the siblings. So he took one group, and then he went again with another group. And they walked, they all went and saw Wicked together. Me and Chris didn't go. That was fine. We went out to eat a few times. It was just really, really lovely. And one of the things we did is we went to the thrift store in Orem. Well, it's Provo. Anyway, that was an adventure because while we had been shopping there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, like all of us. We even randomly ran into my nephew and his wife while we were there. So that was really fun. And we picked out clothes, all kinds of stuff. I had a bunch of craft stuff, which you will see. And something happened and their register shut down. And you could only pay by cash. Well, I'm from Switzerland and I have Swiss bank cards, not American ones. I went to an ATM to try to get cash. I had done this before. Several years ago when I was in America, I was able to get a cash advance off of my credit card. And that's what my husband told me to do. So I tried to do that. It did not work. I thought maybe it's because I'm at the ATM. So I went inside and they're like, no, regulations have changed. We can't do any cash advances on foreign credit cards. I was not amused. So we went back and I had a cart full of stuff and I told one of the guys, I'm like, can you hold this for us until we come back tomorrow, until hopefully the registers come back online? And the first lady that we asked was like, no. And the second guy we asked was like, no problem. So he put my little name on a piece of paper, taped it to the cart, stuck it in a back room. So we went back the next day. The card readers were working. I was able to pay with credit card. Yay, yay, yay. And like I said, we got a bunch of clothes and stuff for the kids. But I got so many fun crafting items. And I'm not going to show you everything, but I am going to show you... Well, yes, I am going to show you everything because it's just too good. Okay, first of all, it's these 3 little wooden stands, okay? They say Happy Halloween on the bottom. And they're meant to be together. Whoops! And they have somebody made these things. Now, with them, here how it is fine, you know. But I am going to put my own Halloween things on top of here. Pop these puppies off. Put my own Halloween things on. But not glue them like these are glued, because, yes, this says Happy Halloween. But if you turn it around, you could make it say Merry Christmas or even just nothing. And I want to be able to take these off and put Christmas things on there. You catching the vision? Because there are a whole bunch of different versions of this nativity scene by Maria Diaz. We've got Mary on the donkey. We've got a whole bunch of wise men together. I want to do them again as 3 separate things, the way they were designed. Make them into pillows and put them on these puppies. I saw them and it all came to me in a vision. It was lovely. Then, I'm having trouble getting this sticker off, but I will use something. This little casket. Now, it's supposed to be a box. The thing is broken, but I don't care that that's broken. I just want the little coffin. And it's supposed to, I think, light up or something, play music. I'm not sure about that. I don't really care about that. I just want to be able to put some cross stitch in there. Halloween cross stitch. Super cute. And then the last thing, see, this is why I can show you all, is I've already taken out, broken off the battery part, but, and lost the hands, because look, it's a pocket watch. It was a clock that's supposed to look like a pocket watch. Is that not cute? So I will put a round finish in there, most likely something Halloweeny, and have a pocket watch. But I could make it for all kinds of holidays. I could do, because a pocket watch is, it's universal. It's not holiday specific. I was so excited when I saw that. Okay. Now, when I was in St. George, I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth. When I was in St. George with my daughter, visiting my parents, all alone, unsupervised, I told my husband, he asked me, what do you want for Christmas? And I said, I'm going to a craft store, or a cross stitch store, and I will be getting my present. And he was like, sounds great. So I went to Primrose Cottage cross stitch store in St. George. And they have quilt fabric too. And I was really tempted because they were like, all our fat quarter bundles and something else were on sale. And they have, like, their regular full price is a good, fair price for good quilting material. It's a great little store. But I already knew we were going to be low on luggage space, and I already have so much fabric. But the next time I go to St. George, I will definitely be checking it out. I asked the 2 people who were working there how business was going, and they're like, it's going pretty good. And I said, I am so glad, because I want this shop to be around for a long time. So as I was at the register paying, I saw these really cute, like, lavender scissors, but then I saw these iridescent scissors, and so Merry Christmas to me. Those came home with me. My main thing for going there was I bought all the week's dye works that I need. Okay, hold on. I'm going to try to do this. They're all kind of jumbled up, but look how gorgeous they are. All the colors for my chatelaine. Polar Lights chatelaine. Was this a boatload of money? Yes, it was. Was it worth it? I'm not sure. I think weeks might be a little overpriced, but they're so pretty. They're so pretty. And I was happy to give the money to an actual shop rather than online store. So, yeah. I'm not sure where this one goes. It doesn't fit in with all the other colors. But I mean, can you tell, knowing that my favorite colors are turquoise, teal, and all shades of purple, why I picked this particular chatelaine? Look at that floss. Holy schmoly. Ah, what a thing of beauty. And then, of course, you can't just buy floss. That's dumb. So I picked out a few patterns. Just a few. Not anything crazy. Coco Quaker. This Snow Friends booklet. Because look, they have it in 2 colorways. Perfect. Then they had this stitching rules thing, which I have not really seen very much anywhere on other floss tubes. So dang cute. Got that. Then picked up a couple patterns for my friend Jackie. She wanted the Autumn Quaker and the Summer Quaker, so I got those for her. And again, they show them in lots of different colorways. These are nice. Can I just tell you, these are on nice cardstock. Primrose is doing a good job. Then they had this little hilarious, one more Primrose. Because of course I needed another nativity. Yep. Yeah, baby. Then they had this hilarious, it was a box and it had chicken wire on the front, so it looked like a cage. And they had a whole bunch of these Not Forgotten Farm pieces stitched up as stand-ups. They kind of looked like the Stacy Nash little critter guys. And my daughter was like, oh, you need to get the cat. So I got the cat. Oswald. He's adorable. And then, let's see, what else? Oh, I have been looking for these Lori Holt little stitch cars, the ones that are crafty, quilty, because I want to make them into a cube, stitch them and make them into a cube for my sewing area. So I finally picked up those. And then I saw they had all of the states from the Thread Milk Designs, the little state pillows. Now, you've watched this, like I have a weird relationship with the United States right now, and it's getting worse. But it's my country of birth. It's where a lot of people that I love and am related to live. Some of my children live there. I'm sad for what it has become, but I have hope for what it can be in the future, and I remember fondly what it used to be. Anyway, so I don't want to do all 50 of the states because that's a little over the top. But I decided to get the pillows for all the states that me and my husband have lived in. So I lived in Idaho for a year when I went to school. My husband lived in Oregon. We both lived in California, different parts. He was a Northern Californian. I'm a Southern Californian. We've both lived in Utah, separately and together. And we lived in Texas for one summer. So I got those at Primrose Cottage. It was a fantastic visit. It was super fun. And then I'll just wrap it up to say it was very weird to be so happy to see people and so sad with how life is. And like, we're all white, and so we're fine, but that doesn't mean that we can turn a blind eye to what's going on in America. Quite frankly, it's not good. It's not good. All right, no more politics. When I got home, I have just in the past couple of days, once I finished stitching on, finished the Jolly Nick, the Mrs. and Mrs. Claus. Anyway, words. I decided my craft area, my stitching area, needed to be cleaned up a little. I have this drawer of all my fancy floss, but as you saw, I just bought a whole bunch of fancy floss from Francisca, and I had a whole bunch of other floss, fancy floss from Weeks Dye Works for my chatelaines, and the drawer is crammed. It's just cramped. And I don't have space to like hang them up and have them be on Flosstubes. I just don't have that. What works best for me is bobbinating in cases. And I happen to have an empty case. And so I have started bobbinating all my fancy floss. Most of this is from Francisca Color Fever. There are a few there's from XG Designs, some in here, and I haven't done the Classic Colorworks. I've left those on the hook, but all of this is from Francie and from XG Designs. Aren't those pretty? Yeah. So I've started putting those on the bobbins because it'll be easier to store them that way. And it'll free up that drawer. That's where now just my Classic Colorworks are, and there's enough room in there now that I can actually see what I have. And I do have some more of her silks that are in there. I haven't put those on bobbins. I think there's enough space in there now that I can just leave the silks as they are and just bobbinate the cotton threads from Francie. That is it for me, people. I hope your 2026 goes great. My 2026 is off to a pretty good start. My 2025 ended spectacularly. It was lovely. Although it was a little odd. We were originally supposed to fly out New Year's Day in the evening. So we were like, great, we can celebrate New Year's Eve with everybody, pack up the house in the morning, and all my kids can go their separate ways. The ones that live in Utah, we can go to the airport. It'll be fine. Because our flight, we have to check out at 11. We can go get lunch. It'll be lovely, last together, and then everybody can go their separate ways. And then my husband's like, our one flight is delayed. We had 2 layovers coming back. And he was like, our flight got delayed, and now we're down to a 40-minute layover at our first place. That makes me a little nervous. In Denver, I'm not sure if that's going to be good. Or we could go much earlier. We could leave our flight left at 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning, New Year's Day. Only one layover. And so we would end up getting home much, much earlier. And we were all discussing it because, democracy, everybody gets a vote, and we all decided we'll take the earlier flight. So that meant New Year's Eve was kind of messed up because we were busy packing and cleaning. We kind of went, Happy New Year. Some people went to bed early so they could try to sleep a little bit. Some of us stayed up. I did go to bed for a couple of hours. I took a short nap. But it was really good because my daughter and my son stayed up and they had a really good talk. Just those two. And they hadn't had a long talk for a long time. So I think that was really good for their relationship. So it was kind of a weird way to end one year and start the next, but also a lot of positives. Anyway, I hope you stay healthy. I hope if you are worried about things coming up in your future, that you can feel a sense of calm, that you can find a way through them. Maybe to mitigate some of the hardship. We're also facing a few difficult things coming up. My husband has actually technically lost his job. He was laid off. His last day of work will be in the next couple of weeks. And then they're making him take a bunch of his vacation that he had stored up. Rather than paying it out, he's having to take it out, use it up. Technically, he's working until the end of February, but again, he'll be on vacation. And he doesn't have another job lined up. So, but oddly, weirdly, maybe it's naively, we feel fine. We feel fine. You guys, I forgot to tell you one of the best parts about going to America. I got to meet up with Sarah from our Stitching Kingdom, with Sarah from Redneck Bifocal Stitcher, and with Kara from K in the Cave. Yeah, K in the Cave, I think is what she goes. We met at Anita's, and Sarah the two Sarahs live farther north, and Kara and I came from basically the same area. And so we met in the middle-ish and spent the next 5 hours eating and stitching and laughing hysterically. And those ladies feed my soul. It was so nice. It was a quick trip there. We hardly saw any people who were not blood related. We barely even saw them. It was mostly just going to be with our core family. But I could not pass up the opportunity to meet up with these ladies. The only person that I truly regret is Jenny from Stitching Jenny. She lives right where we are, but I didn't know if she knew these other ladies, and I knew that we all knew each other, and so I didn't know how the dynamic would be if I invited her, so she's the one person that I truly regret not meeting up with. But I'm coming in May, again, for my daughter's graduation. So Jenny, we will hang out again. We will hang out. But meeting up with those three ladies was so lovely. So, they're just good people. And we just all have so similar views on stuff, similar personalities. I would never have found them without Flosstube. So, they're just great. Anyway, so that was super fun. I cannot believe I almost forgot to mention that. Highlight of the trip was those few hours we spent together stitching and laughing hysterically. Love them, love them, love them. Okay, that's it. Have a great time. I hopefully will have less rambly stuff next time, but you know what? Rambly stuff, the personal bits, it's my favorite part of Flosstube. I hope it's yours too. All right, till next time. Bye!